Next up in the Hitchcock, the beginning set is 1931's The Skin Game. I kind of like going back to these early Hitchcock films because he's never quite found his footing, and you can tell sometimes he's doing a job because it's a job, it's a learning curve where he can take something and maybe find something that sparks his interest. But knowing the Truffaut-Hitchcock interview, this is one of those films that he wrote off as just hating. The story bored him. It wasn't something that interested him at all. And I can kind of see that because it doesn't fit into the kind of films that he would go on to make and enjoy making. The Skin Game is basically a story about old money versus new money.
You want the village run your old-fashioned way, and I want it run mine. I fancy there's not room for the two of us here.
And we have these two families within this small town. We've got the respectable older family that lives in the manor, who are just perturbed and angry by this newcomer that has come in, that is buying up land, that is starting to industrialise this town. And they just don't like it. It's a battle of pride between these two families. And early on, you kind of are with the rich people as you see how they've had tradition, how they have built up their wealth, how they have become a staple of the community. And then all of a sudden things are really changing, and it's not through them. And there is a little bit of, are they upset because it's not them doing it? Are they upset because someone is come in and taking their position within the town? Is it someone who is unapologetic about that? Because the relationship between the old money and the new money is that the new money just don't respect them. They don't have that kind of instant bowing their heads to them. They have as much, if not more, finances than they do, and they feel as if they deserve the respect as well.
I told you I was a bad man to be up against. Perhaps you believe me now.
The trick!
Well, you had an agent bid for you. I had an agent bid for me.
And it's an interesting aspect. And you see these kind of families tear each other apart. And as we spend time with them, we spend a lot of time with the richer, affluent family rather than the new money people. And as you see the family dynamics, you kind of see how this is led by the patriarchy, how the two main guys are the ones that are going to instigate all the problems that happen. But the instigation of this almost war filters down through the family members and is going to damage a lot of people. Pride before a fall.
But if ever I can do you or yours hurt, I will.
As we watch these characters interact, I got drawn into the story. Now, I was always a bit wary about this one because I'd heard about it and heard Hitchcock distance himself from it. And it isn't a thriller or a kind of horror or lean into any of those kind of tropes that he does. It's more a melodrama. It's a melodrama about two affluent people tearing each other down. Mutually agreed destruction. But when the destruction happens, the weight of what they've done kind of lands hard on them. And it does feel a little bit ham-fisted, particularly near the end. There are some moments where you're just... I was really angry because I felt the characters were really crossing the line. But by that point, it was a case of who backs down first loses face type thing. And it's the way they cajole and push each other was... Here we are in the disc for The Skin Game. Let's go to the bonus features. We have Alma Reville, Joe Botting and Natalie Morris in conversation. Now this is 28 minutes 41 seconds. This is great because it's talking about Hitchcock's other half and how she rose through the ranks and how was she in filmmaking and was such a great resource for Hitchcock as well. And I didn't know too much information about her, so this was really informative and just a great conversation to get lost in. Next we have Hitchcock Truffaut, an archival audio interview which runs at a mighty 39 seconds as Hitchcock just naysay's this film. Then we have an introduction by director and film historian Noel Simsolo, which runs at 3 minutes 25 seconds. There is also a stills gallery and after the extras for The Skin Game. Interesting. Now, The Skin Game, I would say, is a fantastic movie. I enjoyed seeing it. I enjoyed because it was Hitchcock kind of film. I like some of the directing choices throughout it. The story isn't the most grabbing, but the more I kind of watched it, the more it drew me into the story. And the ending was a bit of a sucker punch, really. It's an interesting one. The Skin Game is definitely one I wouldn't miss out. I don't think it needs to be as completely disregarded as Hitchcock made out either. It is obviously a product of his, and it does have certain stamps of that director on it. But for the most part, I would say it's not the usual kind of Hitchcock fare. But I still enjoyed this one. A little bit of a time to get into what was actually going on, but once I was in, I was engaged for everything that was going on. I would love to know your thoughts on The Skin Game. If you have seen it, let me know in the comment box below whether you loved it, hated it, whether you disagreed with Hitchcock or agreed with him that it is one to be forgotten. Let me know in the comment box below. As always, there is more content up here where you can see more of my stuff. In the description box below are links to Patreon, membership program, and themanvfilm.com. Always in which you can support me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.